The Utah Mammoth is sorta proud to present Nashcast.
What the is a Nashcast?
Nashcast, the only hockey show on the planet. Hosted by a human speed bag, fourth line wannabe, healthy scratch, schnozzy moto, Tyson Nash.
Who the hell is Tyson Nash?
Never heard of him.
And the baritone with a brain, the velvet hammer, Mr. Silky, Tono Suave, the radio voice of your Utah Mammoth,
Go Blue!
Mike Folta.
Oh, Captain, my Captain!
Nashcast begins now.
Ready for takeoff.
Here's Tyler Ganoush and Mickey Foghorn. Wait, what? Oh, here's Tyson Nash and Mike Folta.
Holy faults, they haven't changed the intro. What is going on? So excited to be here once again today, you guys. Absolute privilege and an honor to introduce our next guest. Certainly doesn't need an introduction. He's out of the cave. He's on the show. We got the bear in the house here today. He started coaching at 28 years of age. The resume, it's one hell of a resume. That's all I can tell you. Let's welcome in Coach Andre Tourigny.
What's going on here, guys? Is this the right call here? Bear, you on the toilet or something? You taking a rinse? What's going on? It's a family show, Bear. Come on, Hockey Bear.
That is unbelievable. Oh my God. What is going on? At least he's got a towel on. I can say he's got more than I have on right now.
Whoa! Oh my God. Oh my gosh. We got the real Bear now. We got Hockey Bear now. Andre Tourigny, Coach, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you, guys. How are you?
We're doing good. We're doing good. Better question is, how are you doing? Where are you? What's going on?
A lot. No, I'm at home in Nicolette and working with my dad as much as I can. And the rest, it's all good. All good. Watching playoff hockey every day. And that's it. That's about it. What about you? Nasher in AZ?
Oh, in AZ, yeah. You can tell by my skin. I look like an old Gucci leather bag with the sun. It's only about 110 here today.
Yeah,
but,
only that. I spend my day outside. I could not do that.
Oh, I know. I got thick, leathery skin. But, Coach, I got to ask you, I mean, playoffs. I mean, some of the best hockey I've ever seen. I mean, I'm old school. You're old school. I know that. But how much fun has this been to watch? And do you watch as a fan or do you watch as a coach?
More as a coach, but I still can enjoy as a fan. You know, I like the game. I like the game in the game. I think we, as a team, we improve a lot in terms of structure, in terms of how to play. I focus more on the game and how the team change and the momentum swing, what happened, and how they use their bench and how they use their bench late in the game and in overtime. And we talk a lot about game management, and there's a way to play when you have the lead or late in the game, and how exactly they do that. But they do it really differently than us and stuff like that. But I think that's what I focus most on.
Coach, the Utah this last year had some great games against Edmonton and Florida. You see these two teams in the final, and you think, wow, we were right there with these teams for most of the matchups.
Well, Mike, we were really good against good team. If you look, Dallas, you talk about Florida, you talk about our game against Colorado, our game against LA, all of them. But we arrive short all the time, though. And it's not like we finish the game and say, we didn't play well. There's a few games against Edmonton between Christmas and New Year's. We didn't play really well. We have another one after third game in Seattle. We'll play, I don't remember if it's second half of the season, whatever it was, maybe early March or something like that. We didn't play really well. That will happen. That will happen all the time. But but we could not get over the hump. I think we're just on the edge of being able to beat those good teams, because if we will have not played well, then now it's different. You say, okay, we didn't play well. So, you like I said, again, Edmonton, we didn't play well, but we played really solid those games, and we could not get over the hump. So we're almost there.
Coach, I got to ask you, watching these games, and listen, you're looking for the model, right? What's the model in the National Hockey League? Edmonton is not the model. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, they have two best players in the world. No one is going to be that lucky ever again. But is Florida the model, how they play?
Yeah, I think it depends about the type of team you have. And okay, I will repeat that. The type of, what's your player? I'm a big believer as a coach. You cannot arrive and with a team and say, that's my way to play and that's how we'll play. I think you need to adapt at your roster. What's the strength of your player? What will fit with them? And, the way Florida play, the edge they play, the physicality they play and everything, I don't think that will be the perfect fit for our team. I think we have a team who have skill. If you look at the Cooley and the Gunner and the Keller and the Schmaltz and those kind of guys, I think we have our own identity. And if we look structure-wise, if you look all our numbers last year in terms of expected goal, chance for shot from the slot for or against, we were there. So now there's the little game in the game. And you talk about Edmonton, and I'm not comparing ourselves to Edmonton. You're totally right. It's totally different. But there's two things. Edmonton, it's not only two players. I think for the last, I will say decade, but it's not a decade, but whatever. The last number of year, Edmonton, they were those two monsters. Now, if you look their team, they have more contribution from everybody, and they look like a team. They play as a unit of five. They as well play really well defensively, which, again, if you look number of years, they were trying to outscore the opponent all the time. Now they can defend, they can shut down the opponent. So I like to see the progression of that team. You saw that in the past with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay was scoring goal at will. When they were winning by one, they were trying to score another one so they can put their opponent away. They figure it out by losing against Tampa Bay, and then they change and they adapt, and now since then they can win game 1-0, 2-1, and stuff like that. I think it's the same for Colorado. It's the same for other team, Vegas, and now we see it with Edmonton. Edmonton, even if you remember Florida, when they had Huberdeau and those guys, they were scoring goals. That was crazy. But they arrived in the playoff. They lost against Tampa Bay twice in the first round, and they figured it out. They say, okay, if we want to win something, we need to be able to defend as well. So I like to see I really like the transition Edmonton did, and see it, the buy-in of the Draisaitl and the McDavid and all the other guys who their commitment defensively. Because if you look their decor, it's not like they don't wow you, say, hey, that's the best decor in the league. But if you look at how they play defensively, they play really as a unit of five. So I take a page of their book for sure.
Folta, before you ask your next question, I got to ask you this. Paul Maurice, obviously, I totally respect the guy, one of the best coaches ever. What this guy has done is I mean, but the handshake line, you've won a lot of championships in your day. I got to ask you, I mean, I disagree with him. I mean, but can you imagine telling Craig Berube, hey, you're not going to go on the handshake line?
Yeah, I will not do that. But I like the mindset of saying that's for the player. My philosophy, Nasher. We talk a lot about that. For me, coach in hockey, I use that a lot. We're behind the bench. That's where we belong. We're behind the player. That's the only sport. If you look at basketball, the coaches on the baseline, football, soccer, or whatever the sports, they're all in front of the player. Hockey, we belong behind it. So I like the fact his mindset saying, hey, that belongs to the player and everything. And when you win a conference championship or Stanley Cup, now the entire organization is on the ice. And to his point, if I shake the hands of whatever the organization in the league, and I have to shake the hands of 20 guys in suit and tie, I have no clue who they are.
Yeah.
You know, at some, and they all really important. They all, there's guys for us you never see are really important to me. They help me a lot in my coaching. It's either player development, player acquisition, or all of the advanced stats and everything, high performance, so on and so forth. You know, you travel with us. We have 20 guys, 22 guys, sports staff who travel with the team. If you tell me the 22 guys in Edmonton, I have no clue. I'll be honest.
I thought Craig Berube was going to just jersey Paul Maurice after that. He's like, you just took us out. Now you're telling me I can't go shake hands? Like, easy.
I agree. I might not say that to Chief. I was Mr. Berube, will you mind if...
Yeah, I would have liked to see the tone on that one.
Well, Coach, you mentioned like the focus on the players, and it's so obvious from being around you in the room that you're so player focused, and there's the player and there's the person. There's the two entities. I'm curious on this Utah team if there are some guys where it's harder to separate the player and the person versus others.
No, for me it's really important. There's guys who you feel if I was 22 again, that will be my buddy for sure. You know, we have same kind of humor. I'm sarcastic a little bit. I like to chirp a lot. The guy has to be able to take it. If not, you hold yourself all the time. So I can see, but at the same time, I think there's an appreciation of every style of guy. In the room, you need guys who have the feel of their teammate and they have the big heart and they care about their teammate. They have other guys who are really strategic. They know what's worked, what doesn't work, where we stand as a team, what's the next step for the team. And there's other guys who are go-getter who are they don't take no as an answer. There's no roadblock for them. They go through the walls and they bring everybody with them. So I have an appreciation of all the style of personality, because there's a lot of adversity during the season. And depending on what the adversity, you need all those guys. It's not always the same guys who will bail you out. It depends about, sometimes it's really emotional. You need your emotional guys. Sometimes it's really strategic. Sometimes it's really effort and go get it. And sometimes it's rally the troop and taking care of the boys and stuff like that. So you need all of them. And if you talk to me 10, 15 years ago, I'm a go-getter. I'm a go through the wall and we'll figure it out how we pick up the piece after. Now I understand that doesn't work. It works for some situation, but doesn't work for all. So I understand, and I really value all the style of guys we can have in the room.
Well, Coach, let's go way back, and you touched on it. I mean, I've seen you. The 4 years we've been together, every time you're on the plane, the game's over, whether you won or lost, that little light in your seat is on. You're breaking down video. You're going over last game. You're getting ready for the next game. But it all started, I read an article, I'm not sure where, but I know you're back home. You're on the farm. You're helping your dad. And you talked a lot about that, your relationship with your mom and dad, and what they kind of instilled in you as a young man, working from 7 o'clock in the morning until 8 at night. Your dad kept going, but just your work ethic.
Yeah, it started by doing what you like. You know, that's the first thing. I think I love my job. I love what I do. And for me, I always say to my kids, work is not part of the equation. It's not, do we do that, but it will be a lot of work. Don't ever say that to me. That's not important. Work is not part of the equation. What's the right thing to do? And that's the way I like to think. So I use that with my kids. Like I said, I use that with my job. I use that with the player. We need to do what's right. And whatever the amount of work that demand, that's something we can control. We cannot control the talent. There's a lot of stuff we cannot control, but we can control our focus, our dedication, our work ethic. That's something we can control. Our intensity, our emotion. We need to focus on that and give it all. I think it's all about commitment and urgency. You cannot say to the player, leave your ego at the door. But you as a coach, you don't leave your ego at the door. There's a lot of time I talk with the player and I change plan or direction or opinion. And I won't tell you it's easy. That's tough part. If you talk to people who work with me, I'm a stubborn man. I'm stubborn. There's no doubt about it. But
can we get your wife on the line here?
You should get my boss. That he will tell you. But it's at some point you said the player all the time, leave your ego at the door. But as a leader, you don't want to do it. That doesn't work. So sometimes I have to breathe. Sometimes my personality, which it's really aggressive, I have to say, sometimes I will have discussion with a player. I say, okay, we'll talk about it tomorrow. So in reality, what I say is, I want to kill you right now. So give me 24 hours. You're probably right. So let me think about it. And 24 hours later, I put everything in perspective and I say, okay, that's what's for the best. That's best for the team. Let's go like that. But it's not true. It's always easy to leave your ego at the door. But I have an understanding now with the year of making mistakes, with the year of not doing the right thing, understanding, okay, in those situations when I get emotional, when I get tired, that is where I'm the grizzly bear. That's how I have to settle down a little bit, make a step back, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. And I learned that with our owner in the One Arena, where I was coach for 11 years, an unbelievable man, really well paid. And he's an Irish guy, so he has a temper. But he was always saying, when he's mad in business, he said, I never talk to anybody when I'm mad. I always say, hey, give me some time and we'll talk. And say, sometimes I have people I didn't talk to for months or years. But he said, when I settle, I talk to them. But he said, that's the way he runs his business. That's the reason you never meet someone who had a conflict with John. They have conflict, but when it will be time, we'll talk, but it's not time. So I learned that from him, and now I try to apply that. And when the smoke started to come out a little bit, I'm making a step back, say, okay, let's talk tomorrow. And hockey, you cannot say, well, let's talk in a week. Right? In a week, it's like it's in a year. But I tried to make a step back in those situations.
7 a.m. till 8 p.m. Was that back on the farm? What do those days look like?
Yeah, 7 a.m. That was on the day off. We called that almost that a day off. Was a little bit earlier than that, but that's what I said. You wake up, you think you're making that. You put your shoes on the guy at 14, 15, 16 years old. You get on the farm at the barn at 6 or 6:30. Your dad is halfway through. That's the way. And then you do all your day. The breakfast, it's always after you take care of the cow, the stuff, and then you breakfast around 8. Then you go to work. You come back at noon. Your dad was doing a little 30-minute nap. So total, we're maybe taking an hour. Then you go back to work. And then when you came back for dinner, it's about 7 p.m. And your dad after dinner is going back. I was not going back. I was going to see my friends. I was going to play soccer, baseball, hockey, whatever the season it was. And I was going to live my life. But I always felt like I was cutting corner. I was short in my time, you know what I mean? And then when I start to work for others, taking 15-minute break in the morning and 15-minute break in the afternoon and an hour for lunch and finishing at 5, I was kind of, okay, I'm not that bad. The normal people, they do, they do normal days. So I realized then how special was my dad and how he was going and never stopped, and that was unreal. So learn from the best. So I don't think I'm halfway as hardworking than him, but when it's time to buckle up, I'm not afraid to work. That's for sure.
How about your mom? You talked a lot about your mom too. Just how there was no gray areas whatsoever. You got that from your mom. I mean, that's what makes you a great player's coach, right? They know where they stand always.
My dad doesn't talk a lot, not loud, really strategic, really hardworking. My mom, it's the opposite. She has a big heart. She loves people. And she's a go-getter. My mom, she loves to talk. She loves people. She see you. She's always happy to see people and to take care of people. And she always wanted the best for the people. So I think I had the mix of my dad who having strategic and firm and direct, and my mom who has a big heart and who's willing to do whatever it takes to make things work. And it's not Hall of Fame in hockey, but she in Quebec, she's in the Hall of Fame for the midget AAA and is in her role. She's been involved a lot in minor hockey in the midget AAA, and she's always been really involved with the people. She's 85 now, and she still play bowling every week because she needs to see people and talk with people and everything. So I often say my mom start to talk before she wake up in the morning. She loves to talk so much. I think she started talking before she woke up. So yeah, she's a sweetheart. I don't meet anybody who doesn't like my mom. My mom, she's really a people person. Yeah, right here on the right. Yeah, that is actually, if I'm not mistaken, when she got recognized in the midget AAA and been introduced on the Hall of Fame.
Amazing.
That picture, yeah, that's amazing. Got my dad in the middle, and you can see the beer and quiet land. Yeah, that's good memories.
That's awesome. Now, so it's pretty clear you have very strong family ties with your parents, but also, we hear about your immediate family as well, the kids and Melanie and all that stuff. So your first couple of years coaching, how hard was it to be on the road and be away from them?
Oof, that was tough. I often say that, you love your parents, right? I love dad, I love mom. When you have kids, you understand, okay, that's what love is about. As much as I love my wife to death, but when you have kids, you realize, oh my God, that's unbelievable how we love those animals. That's unreal. So I remember when I got my job in Rouen and Randa, which was my first job in junior, and my boys were 2.5 years old, and my wife was pregnant of my daughter, and Rouen is about 8 hours from Tourigny, from where I live. So my wife, she's a nurse, so she was due in February. So we are in November 16, 2002, and one of the condition or one of the thing my wife wanted is to deliver in Tourigny. She was a nurse at the hospital in obstetric. That's what she does for a living. So she didn't want to have the baby in Tourigny. So I said, okay, fine. So long story short, I left for Rouen without my boys for until mid-March. That was cruel. That was tough. When I was coming on the road and we were close, my wife was coming. She came to see us and everything. Every time I was seeing my kid, oof, I was really emotional. That was tough. But I knew that was for a short time. So that was a price to pay. When after I coached in 16, 17, I coached the Ottawa Senators, and then I left when Brian Murray left. Pierre Dorion arrived as a GM, and he cleaned up. So I got fired as an assistant coach. I went coach in Halifax for 1 year, but my family stayed in Ottawa. My boys were 16. That was tough. After a year, I had it. The problem is, okay, at that age, they need some direction. Yeah. I had an easy kid. They were unreal, great student and everything. They're good athletes in the sense, not high end, but they were doing their thing. But there's always a little something. And now your wife is calling and, hey, you need to talk to JP about this. You need to talk to Felix. Well, I didn't see them in 2 weeks. So now I would call them, and I could not do that. So after a year, I had enough, and lucky enough, I had a great opportunity to go with the 67th in Ottawa in junior. So I transferred from the Halifax to the 67th. And lucky enough, because side story, the owner of Ottawa, Jeff Hunt, was the one who got the hit to Bobby Smith, who lives in Phoenix, who's the first GM of the Coyotes. He was the owner of the Halifax Moosehead. And Jeff Hunt is the guy who arranged for Bobby to buy the Moosehead. So when Jeff Hunt wanted me to go with the 67s, they were kind of, okay, you owe you one. So they made a deal together so I could transfer from this. Because the Moosehead were going in the Memorial Cup. So that was for a coach a great opportunity, but families come first. So I transferred to 67.
Coach, obviously, I'm with you. I've been at the junior levels, riding those buses. I mean, it is an absolute grind. That has to, give you relatability to your players, right? Them knowing your story, your grind on the way up. I know it wasn't easy for you, but I had Wayne Gretzky as a coach, and he sent me to the minors. I'll never forget it. I'm sitting in his desk, mahogany desk, and all of a sudden, I think I played 8 or 9 years in the NHL. He's like, "Hey, we got to send you down. We just don't think you got it anymore." And I'm sitting there crying on his desk. I don't think he could relate to me in that moment. Just, solely being Wayne Gretzky, right?
Yeah, exactly. He has other thing we cannot relate to him.
Yeah.
But on that side there's the human side and the grind, and really understanding the grind of certain player, what they had to go through, or a certain coach or a certain person, because when you're in the trenches and when an NHL team, you understand there's a lot of people who have the gun and they shoot, but there's a lot of guys who have to carry the box of bullet for you to be able to shoot. And if those people don't do the job, you're dead, because when you won't have any ammo, you're dead. So those guys are the trainer or the therapist or the strength coach or the Jimmy of that word, or the Griff of that word, the team service, and all those people who take care of every distraction, everything you need. So those people are important, and those people have to grind. And if those guys arrive every day and they're grumpy, that makes Nasher grumpy at some point. And at the Reavers, if they arrive every day and they're so happy to be there and they grind and they give you energy, maybe you arrive in the morning and you were on the fans, but tip you on the right side and, hey, it's a great day. We're in the NHL. What a great day. And they're just enough to get you going and to make you have a great day. So I think you need to have everybody on board. One of my things, if you have a staff, they will tell you, no passenger. Everybody's important. If you're there just to go through the motion and go through your day, that won't work. You need to be on board and helping us.
One guy who's always on board, never grumpy, and someone who's been like family last few years for you is I wanted to ask about Mario Duhamel. Just what has he meant these last 2 decades that you guys have been working together?
Yeah, that's unreal when you put 2 decades. That 2005, that's unreal. Yeah. But I think Mario start coach with me. It was another jury. I was different back then. I was a hard ass coach. I'm not afraid to say it. I think if you talk to the player I had at that time, if they met the 2025 Bear, I'm not sure they will understand what happened there. But I think Mario is one of the guys who helped me a lot to understand when I said earlier, when I'm tired, when I'm not at the right place and in my head, Mario will look at it and say, he will tell me just a few things, kind of, hey, you're tired, big, or something like that. And he said just enough, so it's not a conversation for me to think and say, okay, no, I'm not at the right place. So I'm better to shut the hell up. And if you watch game, you will see it will happen 4 or 5 times during the year when I'm behind the bench and I'm not talking because I don't want to. Like I often say, no prisoner, I want to kill them all. So in those situations, I'm better to just coach and say less as possible.
I love it. I've been between the benches. I've seen that face, the old furnace face. And I see Mario a lot of times just not even say a word, right? Just look over at you. And it's a comedy act. So Coach, a big part of the Nashcast is a Nash crasher. And we have a special guest. You guys are like Batman and Robin, but like an old married couple. I got to bring Mario Duhamel on the show here. He wanted to say hello to you.
There you go.
Welcome to the show, my man. I thought you were cleaning off the icing from Coach Andre's cake. I heard you jumped out of it. It was his birthday a few days ago.
Yeah.
He doesn't like his birthday, so we can't mention it to him. I sent him a text. He never responded.
You guys aren't...
I do that for the last 50 years, and people still sending texts. So at some point, they will figure it out. They will stop.
No way. We do it because we're having fun to do it. We know we piss him off.
Oh, my God.
Oh, I love it.
But the truth is, at my birthday, most of the time, I'm in the wood. I'm in the fishing trip or something like I was this year. So I don't have internet. So when I come back, wow, now I have 100 message and stuff like that. So that takes a little bit of time to answer everybody. So you'll probably have a text at some point.
Two things I want to clarify. First of all, that was a great lunch back in 2005. That 3 hours of lunch, that was a great lunch. Great start of a great journey. That's one. But two, it's not 4 or 5 times a year that he's mad or something. I thought it was 4 or 5 times a week.
But 4 or 5 times out of control. The other one, I'm mad, but I'm still in control.
I'm kidding. Good seeing
Mario,
you, Bear.
What's the Mara? What do you think the most mad you've ever seen Bear about something on the ice? Can you remember?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. On the fly like this, it's always related to the way we play. First of all, if we're engaged or not, you know what I mean? It's not. I cannot pinpoint one moment. Maybe Barry remembers, but I do not. And by the way, I'm bad at this to remember things like that. Yeah. But I can't pinpoint one thing. But it's always related to the way we behave, the way we're focused. You know what I mean? If we're not focused or we're not competing the way we should, that's where he gets mad, and which I totally agree with that too. So, but sometimes, as you know, when you're the head coach, you have to control, yes, your emotion, but you control the entire bench. So we're there to help him to do so, but and to be the extension of him. But yeah, sometimes we just need a little reminder to stay sharp. But no, in general, Bear do a great job to remain focused and stay level.
The big thing, Mario said it, for me, it's when I feel the team doesn't care enough, or I wonder if the team care enough.
That goes under his skin.
You want to get me going? And it did not happen a lot with us, with the Mammoth in the last 4 years. Maybe I have twice where, okay, I had enough. But I had enough because that's what I was wondering. Okay, are we just going through the motion right now, or we're really emotionally engaged in the fight? If we're emotionally engaged in the fight and we're making mistakes and stuff, you won't have a problem with me. We'll make adjustment, we'll work, but we're good. When I feel you don't care, whoa, there's no limit. That's dangerous. That cannot happen.
Mario,
Go ahead, bud. Yeah, you guys were talking about the badminton stuff, and that's great memories because that's 20 years ago, you know. And often when we were going to play, it's because we were pissed off at each other. And it says that sometimes we had great arguments, and obviously that was 20 years ago, a little bit younger, right? And so now we pick more our battles in today's world, but back in the days we were high temper and really engaged, let's say that way. And sometimes we would have big arguments, and we would fight about certain things, all about the team, you know, because we want the team to succeed. So nothing personal. It's only everything was related to the team. And sometimes we would have good fights and we wouldn't talk for an hour, let's say in the office, and we're doing our stuff on our side. And at some point, one of us would say, "Hey, do we play badminton in 30 minutes?" Yeah, let's do so. And we would go play. He wanted to beat me. I wanted to beat him. And we had great games. And that was really fun. And after everything was behind us, so that was a good way to rally each other. That was awesome.
Yeah. The other thing, we got lucky because let's say we play 100 game, it's probably 50-50 or 49-51. I will say 51 for me. You
I
agree,
was
Mark?
about to say the reverse.
We were really even. So that was
I think
good.
I won the last match.
Only as good as your last game, right? Isn't that what the coaches
Exactly.
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 Mario, I got to ask you, though. I mean, I'm a pigeon. I sit in the weeds. You're in the trenches. I mean, you've been in the trenches with Andre for a long, long time. But what makes Coach such a great coach? Everyone talks about, obviously a player's coach. And I think that's really important. I think every coach would want to be a player's coach. But what makes him so good?
First, there's a couple of things, but Bear mentioned it earlier. He cares. He cares about others. He's a family-oriented guy. That's why we match together really quickly with our values and where we're coming from. But yeah, he cares so much about others. It's not about him. It's about the rest of the world, and everybody feel it. And he cares. And also, he mentioned it to his he cares about personality, so he wants to reach out to everybody, and that's something that he grew a lot over the years. And he wasn't that way 20 years ago, but he really grew on that, and I will say he's really coachable. He wants his players to be coachable. He wants us to be coachable, but he is as well. So it's fun to be around him because of that, because that he wants the best for everybody. And he knows that he's not perfect, and he wants to improve. So he's really, I'm looking for the word, but damn. Anyways, it's all about that. He wants to succeed, but the success of everybody else is bigger and better than his own success. So that's why that makes him special, and the players feel it and they see it, and that's why they're all on board with him. I was about to say he's vulnerable. I was looking for the word. He's vulnerable. So he's not afraid. He knows he's going to make mistakes like we all do, right? Nah, sure. That was a tough goal before the show. We all know that. I was there. I saw it. But you know what? You came back strong, and you were ready for it. So you know what I'm talking about.
Got to rally. Adversity.
Exactly. But yeah, that's what make Bear special, and he's a mentor because of that. Because you look at him and you want to be like him in a sense that nobody's perfect, and you want to improve because he's the first guy on the line. And he was talking about carrying bullets. He won't be afraid to carry that pack of bullets and taking bullets for others. So and we feel it and we see it.
Speaking of the bullets, we get a lot of fun sayings, Mario, from Bear, whether it's carrying the bullets for somebody. For both of you
I
guys.
didn't know that podcast was 3 hours long.
Well, this one is too.
Where does that come from? Where do all those come from?
Bear reads a lot of books, and he has a phenomenal memory for stories or whatever, which I don't. And Bear will he reminds me stories from everywhere we went. We've been, and sometimes he starts the story, and oh yeah, I remember now, but I always forget. So, where to your point is, he remembers a lot. He has a great memory for that, and he's going to say that he has a selective memory, but for these things, he has a great memory, and everything he reads or whatever, a quote, he remembers it forever. So, and he used a lot of quotes like this, and that's fun when he takes a French quote and he translates it to English, or a French slang, and he tweak it to English. We're all laughing in the office. That's so awesome.
Well, I got to ask you guys, and take me back. I mean, it's been this is your 5th year coming up in the National Hockey League, Bear. I know just as a player, when you first make the NHL as a head coach, right? That phone call that you got, and obviously the next phone call I'm sure you made to Mario saying, hey, you're coming with me, big boy.
I think on that, Nash, that was before. Mario knew we had conversation before I had that call. If the call happened, we'd like you to come with me and everything. So that was set. And so when it happened, I talked to Mario and said, hey, I'm talking to Bill Armstrong, talking to Arizona, and I had the feeling. I think if the numbers are aligned, I think we will have a deal. I think I'm his man. So Mario was prepared, and when it happened, Bill knew that was. But Bill had the philosophy to say, "Okay, I'm good with that, but I have to meet him. He needs to. You need to kind of pass the smell test or something like that." So he wanted to meet him, which was fine. But he knew knew Mario was coming with me, and that was part of the deal.
He jumped in your carry-on bag, I heard, and got his way down.
Well, he's not big; he's a small carry-on bag.
Small one. Needs to be small. Yeah, Bear is right about that because he prepped me, and so I knew that when he would receive a call that as a family we wouldn't be surprised, but he kept me in the loop afterwards when that happened. But yes, he's right about Bill too. I knew Bill from obviously from the time and when he was scout, and I was head coach in Drummondville, so we had a lot of conversation together, but he wanted to cook me a little bit in my role and with the NHL and with the NHL players and all that stuff, which totally fine. You know, it's you're hiring people, you want to make sure that you're fitting well, and he had to trust Bear obviously, but also he wanted to have a little chat with me, and that was really easy going, and that was simple, but that was great to have that as well. Also on my side, you know, to know exactly where I'm heading and with who I'm going to work as well. So that was just pure. That was simple, and that was everything was pure and well defined, and that was awesome.
You know, the other thing, Nash, and you know I learned that in Colorado when my first job as assistant coach in the NHL, and that was with great guy, Joe Sakic, Adam Foote, and Adam Foote, Joe Sakic, and Patty Roy. And when we were doing the prep, I was always saying, "Head, we need to convince the player to this. We need to sell that the player. We need to." And at some point, Joe Sakic told me, he said, "Hey, if you coach in the NHL, the player will trust you. Don't lose their trust." But because the way I was talking is kind of need to earn their trust. And Joe said, "It's not the way to work." He said, "If you make it to the NHL, the guys will give you their trust. If you lose their trust, you will never get it back. You're done. But they trust. If you arrive from junior, and I had a lot of Hockey Canada experience, they will think you're a good coach. So then, when you talk and when you do your job, if you prove them wrong, then you're done. You're screwed. But if you do your job, so don't worry about gaining their respect." So that took some weight off my shoulder at the time, and I realized that was exactly that. I will always remember the first practice of the camp. We were doing the drill and made some teaching, and Jan Ada, who was a veteran, you know, Jan Ada play against you, and Jan was a veteran. Was 33, 5, 6 at the time. I don't remember, but he was an older guy. And right away after practice came to ask me question and do some extra time after for his positioning in the D zone and stuff. I didn't have to earn his respect. Right away, he'd say, "Hey, coach, I need to understand that. Can you spend more time with me?" Et cetera, et cetera. So I realized right away what was a pro player, and those guys are real.
Well, we're lucky to have both of you coaches. Bear, we're going to keep you for a little bit. Mario, and we know you got to get on the ice here soon. Thanks for.
He says he's got to get on the ice. It's actually badminton. We know that his boss is on the line here. What do you think he's going to say? Holy jeez! I just want to see your outfit.
Hey, he doesn't like to be behind 51-49. He's practicing. He wants to catch up.
No way. No, I want to keep the lead. I want to keep my lead. I have an edge on you now. I got to keep that. I got to create that gap. Hey, thanks for having me, guys. That was awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mark.
Boys. Thanks, boys. Barry, if you can, we just got a couple more for you real quick before you get back to your, what is it, like 40,000 chickens or something on the farm? You got 100 head of cattle?
There's a few. Do you want all the names? we don't have cattle anymore, though. That's good.
I got to ask you, though, like, just the NHL, it's a different animal, right? In the fact that I mean, Joel Quenneville was one of my coaches, one of my favorite coaches, but I was mesmerized by him with the locker room we had in St. Louis. Because when you looked around, you had Pavel Dimitri, you had Doug Waite, you had Keith Tkachuk, a massive personality. Yeah. Chris Pronger, maybe a bigger personality. Yeah. Al McInnes. How do you manage? I know your players aren't there yet. Obviously, Clayton Keller is on the rise for sure. But how do you manage those big personalities? And that's obviously a big part of being a good coach.
Yeah, I think one of the things, it's what I try to apply is one set of rules. So, and the second thing is the rules has no feeling. So first, you create a relationship with player, and then the standard are the standard. And I always try to work with the leader. They set the standard. They set what they want to be the standard. So work ethic or discipline on the ice or off the ice, whatever. If it's from dress code to punctuality, for whatever it is, it's always a communication with the leader, and from there they set the standard, and from there the rule has no feeling. That's the standard. That's the standard. Not sure you're late. I'm sorry, I feel bad for you. I know it was not on you. I know it's an accident or whatever happened. The rules has no feeling. That's what the rule is, and it happened this year. With really good player, which it is what it is. There's no feeling. The problem, Nasher, it's when you start to put your feelings in the rules. Oh, Nasher, okay, it's not on you. It's because of whatever, so and so, or you were driving with Mike, and now you're late. It's not on you. So now you complicate everything. There's no feeling. That's the rule. That's the consequence, and that's it. And the same thing for on ice stuff. I think you need to. There's black and white stuff, and you saw it. If we take too many men, the guys who made the mistake with the too many men doesn't play for the rest of the period. That's the rule. That's the rule. There's no whoops. It's 2-2. I need Sergachev, and it's it. No, that's a feeling. No, we do that. The only thing we do that for the first two periods. In the third period, we need to use our heads because the game can be on the line and stuff like that. But you need to pay back or pay forward the next game and stuff like that. But those are the kind of thing we did. So we want to be consistent in those.
Andre, do you think it's easier for your players to follow your rules when they know that you're a badass that rides motorcycles? I think we've got a pretty awesome shot of you on. Is it a Harley that you have?
Oh yeah, it was street light. Yeah, I have a Harley. Yeah, absolutely. No, I don't think. I think. Yes.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Bad to the bone. Terminator.
Bad to the bone. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, boy,
you must work out. Look at the quadzillas on you, Coach. Holy, you must work out.
Oh yeah, that's Photoshop. No, but I don't think so. I think they know I can hold my ground. They know I hold my ground. My personality. It's Mark Gavremont, who we work with on the mental performance side, said perfectly. I love challenge. I love the challenge. If you challenge me on something, if you give me a challenge, I love it. If you challenge me, oh boy, I'm not taking it. I'm not backing up. I might die, but that's fine. I have to die at one point. I'm not backing up. So that's probably where my boss say I'm stubborn. But if you give me a challenge, I'm fine. If you challenge me, whoops, I'm not backing up. So that's how I've been raised. That's my value. That's just gotta be. We have some weakness, and I own it. That's the way I am. So it's same thing with the player. It happened with players. Player challenge me. Oh boy, I'm not backing up for any circumstance.
Well, Bill, I got to ask you with the draft, obviously coming up, free agency coming up, your relationship with Bill Armstrong. I don't know how involved, coaches are in the National Hockey League. I don't know that, but if you had a wish list, where do you think you guys need to add in order to take that next step? Big improvement this year, but obviously getting to the playoffs is the ultimate goal.
Yeah, depends. Every organization can be different, Nash, I think. On the amateur draft, I was a scout when I started in junior. You can get involved in the draft if you don't have a read on every player, because at the end of the day, you compare player. So if you cannot compare player, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, oh, I like this guy more. You don't know the other guy, so what are you talking about? So I love this. I love to have the information, everything, but I'm not involved. Zero, and I'm not trying to either. On the pro scout, the pro one where you talk about free agency, trade, and stuff like that. I'm involved on talking about what's the need, which position are we looking for, what Bill always asks me, what you want, coach? What's the next step? What's the most important? If you cannot have one player, what will it be? What not the player, but the position, the role, and stuff like that. So for us, and the other thing was really important. I think as a coach, you need to like your team. That's always what I say. I like my player, I protect my player, and those are the guys I have to live with. I coach with other guys where finish the game and I wish we have a better guy in the third line, and we need a second line right winger, or we need another guy to play there, and then we need all that. Can you control that as a coach? The answer is no. Well, do your job and work with the guys you have to make them good in the hole you have, and that's it. That's what you have to do. So that's my philosophy. So having that said, when you look at our roster, I like our depth up front. I like our depth in the back. I think Veggie was really good. Wish the best for Iggy, but that's a question there. What's going on with his health and everything, and I wish him the best. And I want to. The last thing I will want to is put any pressure or anything. So it is what it is. That's the situation. I think, like I said, with Shimashev coming over, and we have a lot of young guys who did good in Tucson. So now we start to have a good depth on the back end. So I'm looking more up front if we can have a little bit maybe an experienced guy who can play up high in our lineup. That can be good. But at the same time, I don't see our team having a big need saying, hey, we need this. We need a center, a left winger, right winger, whatever it is. We need that kind of a guy. I think we have guys who are ready to take a step. If you look at guys like Donor, like a Boehner, like Cooley will keep getting better. Gunnar will keep getting better. Barrett Aitons keep getting better. So I think we have a lot of guys. Crosser will have a bounce back year. If you look Curfy and Stanley, the way they finished their season, they did a really good job. We have young guys like Boot. We have we'll see what happened with our free agent Carcone and Bukestad and those guys. So I think we're in pretty good position that year, because I don't think we have a big hole. Like if you will have had that chat last year, I was kind of okay. We need D. We need badly, and not one. We need 40. That's what I was saying. We need 40. And that's exactly what Bill did. You know, if you look, Marino, Sergachev, Mata, and Cole, and we got Bortuzzo as well, who give us experience and depth. That's what we needed, and that was really clear. And we needed a guy who can play center, bring depth, and play PK. And we had a few guys to play that elite role in the PK on our list, but we had only one who was a real center, who was Stanley, and that was the target. And Bill went right at the bullseye on that and signed him, and he was really good for us this year. So we had more specific need last year than we have this year.
It's interesting because a lot of the talk this last year, Andre, was just how young this team was. And there's so much development that these guys are going through, but it's still going to be a relatively young team this next year with young guys coming in. You mentioned the guys in Tucson that are coming up. And there's a lot of guys with a ton of just raw ability. I think of Michael Kesselring, who's 6'5", and he's got a hard shot, can skate. when you've got these younger guys who have all the raw ability, but just have to like refine the game a little bit, is there a different approach to coaching those guys, or how do you go about trying to make them good NHL players?
Well, that's a really good question. But, you know, you can bring the horse to the water, but you cannot make him drink. That's exactly what's going on here. That we bring
unless
those
you
guys.
stuff his head in there.
Yeah, exactly. But he might make some bubble there.
Hold on, I think we got a picture of you and some horses, Bear. Do we have that on standby? I think I
don't think so.
I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So, no, but I think you need to give them opportunity, and then you give them the teaching, and now they have to do it. They're professional. It's not like junior where there's a lot of to learn and to experience and everything. But we started the show talking about Edmonton, how much with the same group they grew in their understanding and their game management. Hey, Austin, I won't lie to you. It's not the last step is not this year. You know, I mean, if we want to get to the NHL, to the Stanley Cup, there's a few. There will be blood. We will bleed. We will sweat. We will cry, and we'll have to regroup and buckle up and keep going. That's exactly like I said what Florida did, what Edmonton did, what Colorado did, what Vegas had to do, what so on and so forth. You know, that's the path to victory. So, but we need to move forward, though. You cannot make a step backward. We need to move forward. We want to move forward and learn from those battle scars we'll have, and for sure want to speed up the process. We don't want to, like I often say, we're in no rush as long as it's right now. You know, we're in no rush as long as we do it right now, so right away. So we need to take the experience. I think Michael Kessering, really good chat with him last year. You talk about him, especially at the end of the season, make him understand different things. Michael Kessering doesn't need to improve his skating, doesn't need to improve his shot, doesn't need to improve his skill, doesn't need to improve his strength. It doesn't hurt if he improves them, but it's not what will make him go to another level. Okay, now it's decision-making, game management, composure, et cetera, et cetera. That's what will make him take the next step. And you talk about Logan Cooley. So there's a lot of growth inside, within, and that takes some time. We won't go from the second youngest team in the NHL to a top 10 team in terms of age. You know, we were second youngest last year. We will be bottom 10 this year in terms of age, and that's fine. You know, that I don't believe in youth to be young. I believe in having good young player. You know, it's not about, hey, this guy is 23 years old. Yeah, but he's no good now, and he won't be good in 5 years. That doesn't make you any better. You know, you look at the way Bill did this thing when we were in Arizona. I liked it because you had I said it a lot, but you had the Patrick Nemeth, you had the Anton Stroman, you had the Antoine Roussel, you had the Andrew Ladd, you had Louis Eriksson, Antoine Roussel, and all those great veterans to surround our young guys. Mm-hmm. What will have been to put a young guys who was not ready or will not be in the NHL in 3-4 years from now will have not been the perfect scenario. So I think if you look at our young player, I don't see one of those who will not be a good NHL player.
Bear, I got to ask you, we got some pictures. Your wife, she was digging deep in the photo album. So just kind of maybe walk us through, give us some context at some of these pictures that we're seeing. I know it's a big part of your childhood, obviously, and just your journey in general.
Yeah, that's a strong start. That's when they retired they put my name in the banner in the Wayne Arena when I came back a couple of years after I stopped coaching there. I was coaching in Colorado when there was a banner. That was a ceremony we were on the ice. That was an emotional moment for all of us. That's like I said. That's when my mom got introduced in the Hall of Fame. That's in a trip in the Greek.
Was that a donkey or was that a horse?
That was a donkey. We were going in Santorini. We're going up the hill. That was a donkey. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, need a strong donkey.
Yeah. He's grimacing a little bit there.
Oh yeah, he's in pain right now. Oh, that's good. That one was the first time we came back from Colorado to ride to Trois-Rivières. We're driving all the family, so with the dog. Car was extremely packed, to say the least. So that's on for a 30-some-hour road trip.
The dog gets the front seat, huh?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's my boy.
I have one last one for you, Bear, before we let you go. I think there's a lot of kids. You don't often get a coach on the show. So thank you so very much. Obviously, you always stop and give us time, whether it's on the plane, in the hallway, in the bowels of the rink. We're just a bunch of media pigeons. So we so appreciate your inside information. But for all those young kids out there, I mean, what do you think is the biggest difference from a kid who's borderline, on the cusp of making the National Hockey League? What do you always say you need to work on this part of your game? It's the most important part for a forward and a defenseman.
Well, I think there's a lot of stuff we're God gifted, and there's a lot of stuff you need to work at it. It's a long process. Your skating, your skill, your shot, your et cetera, et cetera. But the most important for me, it's what you can control. I hate to send message people to focus on stuff. It's tough to control. I think you control your effort, your character, your commitment. That's really important. And one thing I like to say to players, everybody make mistakes. What makes the difference between the great and the good is how you react to mistake. When I go watch a player, whatever the level, let's say it's junior A or midget AAA or high school or junior major, he has a great game. That doesn't tell you as much as when he make a big mistake. When he turn it over and give a goal, now I'm kind of like, okay, let's watch the next shift. What he got? Who is he? Is he a guy when adversity hits, he will disappear, he will be shaky, he will lose his confidence? Is he a guy when everything's going well, is your best player? When tough moment arrive, he disappear? You don't want that guy. So be the guy who don't see adversity like a problem. See adversity as an opportunity. When you make a mistake, when you have a tough day, you have a tough game, take pride of, okay, what's next? Who am I? Who you are, it's what's next. You arrive in practice, you miss a pass, you miss execution. Okay, the next one. Put your mind on it. Make sure your next one, you show confidence, you're determined, all that kind of stuff. So for me, when I see a kid in junior make a mistake and arrive on the bench, slash his stick and put his head down, what the hell are you doing? You feel sorry for yourself? There's millions of people who want to be in your shoes. And don't tell me you feel sorry for yourself. Head up, be a man, be a guy you want to be trusted. You want your teammate to look up to, because making a mistake, it's mean the next one I will be even better. And when I look at guys like McDavid and Draisaitl on the bench after the first game in Dallas when they lost, I was sitting on the bench and I was scared to death for Dallas. I was saying, okay, those two animals are ready now. Watch out, they're coming. And that's what you want. That's what you want. You don't want the guy to make a mistake and the arm is in the air and you roll his eyes and pull his head back. What the hell are you doing? Just be focused on the next one. The next one, you have an opportunity to show everybody who you are. So it's the same thing for a player in midget and bantam and peewee. Just show character when you have adversity, because hockey is a game of mistake. If every mistake drag you down, there's no way you will be a confident player. There's no way you will have success in adversity. And what if this happened in a 2-2 game with 5 minutes to go? Now you will quit? No, you don't quit. You just get stronger with it. Every time you make a mistake, this mistake makes you better, stronger. That's the guy I want in my team.
Oh, goosebumps. I would have loved to play for you. That's all I can tell you. That's why the guys want to go through a wall for you. Absolutely.
That's why I stopped to talk to you all the time, Nash. I look your tan, I look your shade, the way you dress. I said, that's the guy I want to be. That's the guy I want to be.
My wife says I get dressed in the dark some days. Well, thank you.
God.
Thank you so much. I know you got chores to do. I'm sure everyone's out there waiting for you.
Thank you, Nasher. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for your time. It was great to see you, boys. So.
All right, we're back. Thank you, everybody. We just had the bear on. Mike, I don't know if it gets any better. We had Bill Armstrong. Now we had the coach on. All the things he talked about, right? His relationship with his mom and dad, growing up on a farm, his work ethic, where it came from. And then a lot like Bill Armstrong last week, talking about the soul of the player. Coach Andre Tourigny talked about the player versus the person and how you manage that. I thought that was fascinating. And speaking of Bill, I mean, let's bring him on. We need an update, a State of the Union. Bill, welcome again to the show. Please don't file a restraining order, but that's 2 weeks in a row. I'm all up in your grill, wanting to know the State of the Union and what's going on with the Utah Mammoth.
Wow, it's exciting times. You know, we just got back from the combine. It was excellent. You know, it's just the best thing getting those kids in front of you. And they're so well rehearsed. You know, they're trained by their agencies pretty well to answer the questions, be extremely polite, and not give too much information. So, but it's awesome. Saw all the testing and that, and it was really good. It was a good week for us, getting to know some of the players that will be playing inside this franchise and helping us push the envelope to win a Stanley Cup here.
Bill, you guys with the 4th overall pick. And then getting to see these guys and talk to them and have conversations with them and figure out a little bit, how important is it to try and maybe pull down that media trained shroud on some of these guys and get to like you were saying earlier, the soul of the player and try and figure out who you want to spend a 4th overall pick on?
Yeah, we do it a number of different ways. I mean, the interview is just a meet and greet. You know, I don't think you can really break the player or find out anything earth shattering. But, you know, we've been doing it for a long time. There's over like 100 years of experience inside that room when those kids come in. So, you know, it's the neck size. It's the size of their wrists. It's, you know, the posture of their body. It's, you know, how thick are they, you know, and the potential that they could be. So you're looking at all those things. And, you know, it's really an interesting process to go through. And I think, you know, with the kids these days, you're not, you know, it's not like the old days when Tyson was in the war room and they were grinding on you or you fight it. Like, it's not the same as that. It's more of a meet and greet. You know, we do a lot of different things at the combine too. We go to dinner with some of the top guys, getting to know them. Sometimes we bring in, you know, 6 or 7 guys at the same dinner. You know, we'll definitely do whatever it takes behind the scenes. You know, whether it's going into the player's hometown or visiting coaches that, you know, that coached him when he was 12 years old. We try to go to the end of the earth to understand the player.
We never obviously had those tests, me and you, Bill, when we played. We didn't have combines, right? I think I played black and white when we televised those games. And I remember Brett Hall one time coming into the training room and seeing me doing bicep curls. And he's like, Nasher, I've never seen a bicep curl score a goal. What are you doing? But what are some of the most important tests to you guys when you look at these kids going through the whole gamut? What are you really focusing on?
Well, just to make sure that what's underneath the hood is good enough to be in a National Hockey League player. You know, there's, you know, the legs of the player, the power that they generate is really, really important. There's only so much time you can squat and do leg press and work on it. So you have to be at a certain level. There's a coordination factor in that too. And, you know, just the type of body type you're drafting. So, you know, that's why it is a combine. There's, you know, and I think each team values different exercises in the combine a little bit more. I think, you know, over time, you know, I like to stay there and actually watch the players do the combine. You learn a lot about their body language and the type of body they have. So we stay the whole gamut all the way through, and we have our strength team watching too. So, you know, they give you good reports of the players. What is the potential of the player? Can you stack a lot of weight on this guy? Has he got bad issues? Is his coordination off? Is he bold-legged? You're just trying to learn everything that you can about the player to make the best decision possible.
Peel the curtain back on these dinners a little bit, Bill, if you could. I mean, are these guys just eating steak every night? Like what are these dinners like when you get to really sit down with these guys?
Oh, it's great. I think over the years, we've got a little bit of a formula where we go to dinner and nobody can kind of figure out who's at dinner because there's so many guys. That's one. So you say, everybody says, "Oh, this guy and this guy was at dinner." Yeah, but they missed 4 guys that we actually had at the other end of the table. So there's a lot of deception going on as you're going through the hotel lobbies with the players, and there's other teams there, and dinner is really a good way. I've always felt, because they're peer groups right at the table, and they you learn a lot about the player, whether he's got a sense of humor, whether he's serious. Sometimes those guys played for Team USA against Team Canada, and they start, bickering back and forth, and you can see their competitiveness, and you can see some of these guys played summer hockey against each other when they're 9 years old. So it's just a great way to just learn a little bit more of the player and peel back that onion and just get a little bit better understanding of who you're drafting.
Sometimes you've been coaching or scouting, for a long time, but maybe sometimes you can pull that onion back a little bit too far sometimes. I won every fitness test there was known to man, but I was not a great player. Let's be honest. But do you sometimes kind of put that on the shelf when because you've scouted these kids on the ice, most importantly, right? You can ride a bike all day long, but can he skate? Can he play? Where does that come into things? The Phil Kessels of the world, right?
Yeah, you have to filter that in, because it's not just the best. There's guys that crush that combine that you wouldn't let play in your men's league team. They just don't have hockey sense. So there's a combination of not only the interview process, and there's also other filters, like, there's guys that walk in there, they've scored 50 goals. Well, yeah, they've got tremendous amount of confidence. They come into that room like they're King Kong. You would too. But then there's a kid that had the bad year. He's overselling, he's trying to make up for the lack of the goals, so you've got to have some experience at the combine to really filter out a lot of the stuff, like you said, and really get down to what's important and valuing that. And I think our group does a great job of that, because the massive experience and the massive success that all the people in that room have had drafting players. So I think that helps us navigate all the little pitfalls. And, it really is an interesting process to go through and learn about the player. You dive deep, you peel the onion back, and you talked a little bit. Can you peel it back too much? You can. You can overthink it for sure. But I've always felt like when you get on stage and you're going to announce that pick, that you want to know that guy inside and out. You want to know him better than most of the people around him. And to do that, you got to peel the onion back as far as you can.
One guy that I read a story on, Bill, was Mason West, who's going to go play quarterback in Minnesota. He's one of these guys with kind of a background that features multiple sports. What do you make of that when a draft prospect has a multi-sport background like that, and maybe he missed some time on the ice to pursue a different sport?
Yeah, it's very rare these days that this actually happens nowadays, that you actually have multi-sport kids, just because hockey is such a specialist game where you're working on constantly coordination, improving from stick handling to skating. There's just not a lot of time left over. So to see that tells you he's a hell of an athlete. That's a hell of an athlete that's been able to play at a high level of football at the same time of hockey. And it's rare in these day and age that happens, especially hockey parents. Tyson is a crazy hockey dad like myself. So we understand the amount of time that you've actually put in to help raising your kid through hockey, and there's not much time left over. At some point they have to choose. So it's pretty impressive that he's still at a high level in both sports.
Bill, do you ever look at the parents? Do the parents come into play? Maybe their history, their body type. Are you going that deep? Are you looking at mom and dad going, oh, geez, dad's only 5'8". I might have to stay away from this one, even though he's built like a fire hydrant?
We get right down to it, and it's funny you say that. We have all different metrics, It's crazy to say, but everything plays a little bit of a factor. We spend a lot of time with the draft picks, parents, and family. They're a big part. When things don't go right in the development, you want to know that they have a good family structure around them to help them get through. And their mom and dad are their biggest influences that they have around them. So it's really, really important that, you want to get to know the family. And we've gone and met some families where, the kids were struggling at the height of where he should have been good. And to watch the family handle the pressure and listen to the parents and, see that kid eventually a few days later work his way out of that hole and go from being benched to being the guy that gets the game winner. And you met with the family like 2 weeks before that when it was the worst, he'd ever suffered in his career. That's when the kid's going to be special, but it comes from the parents also reaffirming of what their beliefs are. If you see a good, hardworking mom and dad that's demanding on their kids to a certain degree, it usually translates into the player being a hard worker because he knows he's got to get in the car with myself or Tyson or the dad. It's be long drives. If I'm going to pay $900 for the skates, I'm going to expect you to move your feet in them.
Well, Bill, the draft is decentralized this year, which is kind of a new wrinkle. How do you see that unfolding or changing things for you guys operationally on draft day?
Well, it'll be a little bit different for sure. But at the end of the day, for us, we got to get the list right. We got to get the list right. We got to get the right player. That's the most important thing. We can deal with, hey, it wasn't a perfect draft or the feeling wasn't the same or whatever it was, or hey, it was better. We'll deal with that afterwards. Our focus on getting that list right, getting the best player at 4 that we possibly can for the franchise and taking a step. So, we're so focused on that it's probably not as big a deal as people think it is. It'll be a little bit different, but it shouldn't be a huge factor.
Do you guys go through those, scenarios when you're together? First of all, when do all the scouts come into town for you? I think we're 17 days away from the first day of the draft, but how many mock drafts do you guys go through? Like, especially, obviously you went from 14th to 4th. This is a big pick for you guys. Players get taken or not taken, and all of a sudden you have to juggle those balls.
Yeah, it's a great question because you never want to stand there and be going, hey, I had no idea we're getting this guy. Like, that's not acceptable in our staff. We go through every single scenario, every one of our picks. Everything that we do is based upon just going over it again, and tightening the list and predicting, hey, this could happen. What if that happens? Are we comfortable with this? Everybody in here, if that guy slides, are you all right if we get, so there's a lot of that goes on. But that's, if you're going to be good in scouting, you need to be paranoid. That's the way it is. You better be paranoid to do that job. It's the only way you're going to be good at it.
So with the combine in the books now, and we're really getting into it in this build up to the draft, just one last question before we cut you loose. What are these next couple of weeks for you guys as you hone that list?
Yeah, it's a lot of sitting with Ryan and Daryl, the head scouts, and actually watching video together now. That's where we're at that point where we do a lot of video together. When we first came in, we were a new staff all together, and we were in the COVID. And I can remember going to my house with Ryan and Daryl and just sitting and watching a ton of video on the guys that were coming our way. And I really felt like we got to a good point as a staff, and everybody could agree upon it. From watching it, we could argue the final arguments out and put the list together and finalize it. And I felt like that was like the final step for us. So we've always kept that. So now it's really watching as much film as we can together, getting on the right page and finalizing the list.
Last question for me, Bill, before we let you go. Hockey sense. It's the most used term in broadcasting. Is there a test for it, or is it just you watching?
Well, I used to work with my dad, and he had some great lines that kind of ring through my head. And he's like, you can't fix dumb. If you're dumb, you're dumb for life. That was his big. So I always think about my father when I'm watching a player, and I'm like, I can fix your shooting. We could probably fix your skating, but I don't think I can fix your decision-making process. That's just, that's not going to happen. And that's around hockey sense, right? I once was scouting a game, and the defenseman was going to go like 4th or 5th or 6th overall, and he was a big man, and he was skating backwards playing the 2-on-1, and he lost his stick, and he just changed to make it a 2-on-0, and I was like, you can never fix that, and you never want to draft that, and that guy is not on our list, So stuff like that you see that happens. Hockey sense is a big thing, and it's a really important thing, because you don't win championships at the end of the day if people don't have hockey sense. It's the change when you're tired. It's the route that you take. Hey, do you get it deep? Do you make sure that hey, are you like the other game where Marchand gets the breakaway? Can you have somebody with that, that type of sense that created that breakaway off anticipation? So it's a big thing in our model. I don't think you can fix it, but you sure can scout it.
Oh, I love it. Well, thanks, Bill, as always, taking the time. I know you got a big draft coming up. We cannot wait. I know the fans, they are buzzing. They want more. They want more of the Mammoth Man.
Oh yeah, that was great. And I love the way you guys put that story together. That's exactly the way it happened too. So it was awesome. But that's awesome. Hey, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being on with you guys. You guys are the best. You did an unreal job on the show. So just a pleasure coming in.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. Yep.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there you have it. Bill Armstrong, are you kidding me? 2 heavy hitters once again, Mikey.
Yeah, that's great stuff. I'm interested to see, like, these next couple weeks. You always hear the different rumors and reports. It feels like one week it's this guy going at 4, then it's this guy going at 4 or 2 or 3 or 1 or 10, and it's all changing right up until the day the draft happens. Like, it'll all be going on, rumors swirling until late June when we finally make some picks here. And so,
you know what I find interesting is just how they get, I would be the worst scout in the world. I mean, I've watched my kid for I don't know how long, junior hockey, and easy to pick out the top guys, right? I mean, you can pick out the Davids and the Dreisaitl's and all those kids, the Crosbys, but how do you find that second and third liner, right? That's going to fit into your group. And I always said, it's weird to me that guys take a first round pick, and maybe he's not going to play in your top 6, but then you stuff him on your 4th line. Well, that kid's never played on a 4th line in his entire career. So why pick that kid, right? Why not go out and get a Jordan Martinook who, is a great defensive, centerman or forward, right? That can fill that role for your group. But anyway, I just find it fascinating. These kids are boys, right? They're 17 years old. I mean, I was still wet in the bed at 17, 18, right? And these guys are getting drafted in the National Hockey League, which is just incredible. And you need a great group around you. And that's obviously the strength of the Utah Mammoth. And that's a credit to Bill, the group of scouts that he has put together. It's top notch.
Well, and you have a blue chip prospect in T. Ginla, who you took last year at 5 overall, who's going to be making a difference for this team in years to come. And he's one of those guys who's extremely polished off the ice. He says all the right things. Of course, the son of a legendary player in Jerome Ginla, obviously. But these guys are so polished, with their agencies and all that stuff. They know the right things to say. But when you're at the combine for a full week, you can't have the shield up the entire time, right? And so these teams get to see a little bit more than what they normally would be able to.
Yeah, and that was an unreal question by you, because I was saying the exact same thing. I'm like, these guys can fake their way through. You can fake your way through that whole combine. You really can. Anyone can be nice and positive and a great teammate and all these things. That's where the deep dive comes in, right? That's where you go to the parents, how the kid was brought up, all those things. What happens over a year, a season, right? Especially when things go bad. Anyone can be happy. I mean, when things are rolling, you're scoring, you're winning fights, you're doing all the things, right? But what happens when all of a sudden you get knocked out, and how do you react? How do you manage that adversity? And those are the things that the scouting staff, most importantly, has to look into and find out about the true character of these kids. It's not easy.
Bill was mentioning wrist size and neck size too. Like you would have
Yeah.
passed the flying colors on the neck size, right? I mean, do you even have a neck, or does it just go like head to shoulders, like the
The fire
Thunderdome of the
hydrant.
pyramid?
I'm built like a fire hydrant, and I'm getting wider. I don't think that should be the case. So this body is taking an absolute beating lately. But you're right. Like
micro,
yeah, and that's why I asked the question. I'm like, I won every fitness test known to man. I mean, some of the worst players I've ever seen can crush a fitness test, right? The combine, you're practicing. Your agent knows what tests are coming. They know exactly how to train, just like the NFL. But what do you do in game action, right? When you're right in the face of a McDavid, the speed, like all that, the hockey sense. That's the most important thing, because all hockey players are skilled. I bet it's 85%, maybe even higher, maybe 90% mental and 10% physical, because everyone can skate, everyone can make a pass, everyone can shoot the puck, but not everyone can use their noggin, right?
I have one more thing for you. How many pull-ups could you do back in the day?
Back in the day, oh man, I could rattle off 25, 30, like no
straight
no
arms.
Straight arms. Oh yeah, bench was my biggest thing. But it was hilarious. Brett Hull used to say that all the time. He's like, Nasher, I've never seen a bicep and tricep score a goal. What are you doing? Well, like, what are you even doing in here? Like, go work on the ice. Go work on your shot, making a pass, using your brain. Stop fighting all the time. Like, that's what.
Go get me a coffee.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And the funniest part about that, Brett Hull played for us for, I think, like a handful of games. His last game, they brought number 9 down from the rafters, right? His last game, his line mates were Mike Comrie and Tyson Nash. That put him straight into retirement. He's like, oh my God, Gretz, I am done. This is my line. I am over. So I put Brett Hull into retirement.
What an honor. What an honor. Tyson, summertime. I know you're working on the tan. I just got back from northern Michigan, was stomping around the woods a little bit, but we got to start dialing in the puck here a little bit too, because we got some street hockey coming up. We've got the Utah Mammoth 3-on-3 street hockey tournament coming up it's July 12th. You need to sign up by July 2nd, but that's right in the peak of summer, Tyson. It's going to be hot, but it's going to be a ton of fun.
Well, I'm going to be skins. If I join the tournament, I am skins in that game. I can tell you that. But is there anything better, first of all, than 3-on-3 hockey, let alone ball hockey? We've all played it. I don't know if you guys can see right here, but that's a painting that my brother made me. I'm shooting. My brother's in net, and we're in the backyard in Sherwood Park, Alberta, just outside of Edmonton. That's where it all starts for these kids. It starts with street hockey. There's nothing better besides the orange ball that sometimes you take one right in the eggs. So wear your cans out there, ladies and gentlemen, because it doesn't tickle.
Well, it's not skating, it's not rollerblading or anything like that. It's street hockey, so anybody can play. You don't need to have any skating experience. Even a cone like me can get out there and wheel it around. It'll be at the shop at Southtown down in Sandy, which is right next to the new practice facility. And the tournament's coming up again on the 12th. You need to sign up by July 2nd on UtahMammothYouth.com. We've got our great friends over at G2G protein bars sponsoring. Tyson, I'm curious, like, how would me and you look on a line, you think, in the 3-on-3?
I can tell you, mid-July, I don't think you tan as well as I do, so you are going to look like a cone, all right? So I don't know. All I know is I'm nasty. I couldn't play on the ice, even when I did play, but I could zip it around. I had a ripper of a one-timer. I was like Dylan Gunther out there on the sidewall. I mean, I was solid, and I could move the net. The best part when we grew up, a car would come and disturb everything. It'd be like, car! And then everyone gets out and moves the nets, and then you get back, you wave at mom and dad and the family driving by. But I miss it. It was the best time of my life.
So there's registration for anybody 10U all the way up through adult, 18U, all that stuff, beginners, more advanced players, all that stuff, any skill level, any age can come and have a ton of fun. that's what we did, Tyson, out on the street hockey. But we would have somebody's dad come and push down the snow so we could get a little surface. We'd roll over it with the car, and then we'd have a flat surface for the orange ball. But you can do it on the street as well, like what we're going to be doing on July 12th. If you had to pick a 3-on-3 team, Nasher, non-NHL players, but anybody, who would be your 3-on-3 team that you're coaching?
Oh man, I'm coaching? I don't even get to play? I mean, I think I'm a player coach like Bill Armstrong was in Providence. So
you can put yourself on the team, sure.
So I'm on the team. If I'm playing, I'm playing. So I'm going with Shaq Hyman in net. I'm going with Big Shaq, because who's going to score on that man? I don't know if you've seen him on TNT when he strolls in at the intermissions with Bissonnette and the boys, but oh my God, it's the funniest thing you could ever see. So he's my goalie. And I've skated with JJ Watt many, many times. And this guy, the ice screams when he's skating up and down the ice, and the guy can move. I mean, you obviously know him as a football player. The guy's a stud, but you should see this guy. And I think I'm pretty safe if I want to run my mouth with those two. So those are my two, and I am team captain.
Well, you took my 1-1, which was going to be JJ Watt. I mean, nobody's going to mess with us. I think I have to go Lauri Markkanen, the Finnish Jazz player. He's got a skating background. We saw him deliver the puck on the ice on opening night, but he's 7 feet tall.
I saw him skate. I like our chances. He can play hoops, but I saw him.
Hey! It's running. It's right. There's no skating.
That's true.
So
that's true. He can run.
And if we're running. I might go and get like a track star or you took JJ Watt. Give me Tyreek Hill out of the NFL. Love the fastest guy out there.
Yeah, no.
And then
beep beep.
Since we're picking non-NHL people, I'll take Tyson Nash too.
Hey, don't you recognize these? I can't have any more oil paintings on this wall. Okay, you see these? You see these things? Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'll sign one of these and send it to you.
But just to go over the details again, it's July 12th. Sign up by July 2nd on UtahMammothYouth.com. Again, any ages, any skill group. And we say any skill group, we mean Mike Folta and Tyson Nash. So that's a pretty wide range right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Come out. It'll be a blast. I can't wait. Foltz, thank you, buddy. Another one in the bag. And we knocked that one out of the park. We had the coach, the Bear, Andre Tourigny, on the show. He talked all about growing up on the farm, his childhood, mom and dad, where he got his work ethic from. He also talked, much like Bill did last week, about the solo player. Well, he talked about the player versus the person. I loved every bit about it. We also had Bill Armstrong again talking about the combine and the upcoming draft, just a few days away, free agency as well. So what a show, buddy.
It was a ton of fun, and if you're watching on YouTube, remember to subscribe to the Nashcast channel. But we're also on Instagram, Tyson, Nashcast Official on IG. So look us up there and stay tuned to all the short little funny clips that we'll be posting throughout the next few weeks as we get more episodes and a bunch more great interviews as well. But don't be afraid to leave a comment. I mean, Nasher, like this isn't just for your sake here. This is for the fans. This is for fans of the Utah Mammoth, and give us feedback, people you want to hear from, maybe some future guests. We'd love your feedback and your comments and all that stuff. So this was a lot of fun, and we'll do it again next week, Nasher.
I cannot wait, and maybe not too much intel, right? I'm a little bit sensitive, so careful with my feelings. I'm a hockey player, all right? My grammar and spelling, leave it alone, folks. But again, let's do it next week, and bring the thunder, baby.